Hi, neighbor. Thank you for joining me for tonight's free card class. I'm Alicia Dolan here at Creating in My Corner. I am so glad to be here with you. I've missed a few free card classes. If you've been following me for a while, you know that my schedule has changed on and off throughout the seasons. And this summer it's been a summer. We've had some good times and we have had some uh, maybe hitches in our giddy up. But we're hopefully with the school year starting, we will be right back on track. I should be coming to you live on the first and third Sundays of the month with a free card class. I think that the last free card class we did, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think the last free card class that we did that I actually completed was this one from July. I have got stuff all over the place right now. I'm getting ready for a yard sale. My kids start school tomorrow. We've got a lot going on. But I am so glad to be here with you. I love when we get time to craft together. And I'm excited about what I have to show you tonight, even though I'm not 100% prepared. I feel like I say that every time. So hopefully you can bear with me and maybe we'll learn something together. So I'm going to turn the camera down and we'll get started. I did want to go over, I'm really just starting this process of like the free with purchase card class. So if you come to my in-person class, then you spend $35 in Stampin' Up! Products, then you get the whole card class for free. Otherwise, I charge a flat fee of $25. So for the free online class, the way that you would receive your class supplies, which includes all of your cardstock, your embellishments, pretty much everything except for the stamps and ink, or blender pens, special tools. Those are usually separate. So the way that you would receive those is if you place an order and use the host code for August, which I don't know what that is yet. So I may have already posted it. I can't even remember. But I will attach it in the description of this video in case you are interested in that. Also, I wanted to let you know I have a little stack over here of birthday cards. If you watched one of my videos last month, it was my birthday last month. And the way I really wanted to celebrate was by sending out cards. Well, right after my birthday, I left to go camping. And we've been back, I think, a week now. It doesn't feel like a week. It feels like about 2 days. I've been doing enormous loads of laundry. But I can't do enormous loads. They have to be super small loads because my washing machine is, it's being a little picky right now. It's a little finicky. So I have been really busy between that and getting ready for school and trying to get ready for a yard sale. It's been a really busy time. I have my in-person class this month is actually tomorrow night, and I am not even 100% prepared for that. So I'll be up late tonight working on that. Because of course tomorrow is the first day of school and then my first day back to work. So not ever, but in a couple days. I did work a couple days last week, but I'm still extremely out of sorts. So I'm gonna turn the camera around. I am gonna, and we'll see what we're gonna make tonight. Okay, so here we are over at our stamping space, and you'll notice that tonight I've got my Stamparatus out because the card that we're making is a bit of a special card, and there are lots of different ways to do this, but I've just found that for me, the easiest way is to use my Stamparatus. I cannot see where the comments are tonight. I don't know if I somehow turned off like the little comment thing. I can see that someone is watching, but I don't see any comments. So if you're watching and you want to comment, feel free. If you don't, that's okay too. But the birthday cards will be coming out this week too. Okay, so tonight I wanted to work with this stamp set. This is so cool. It's the Frosted Forest. It's really pretty. The words are a little bit small, but they're really nice script. So they're really pretty little words. But the cool thing about this is there is a stamp set. There are dies. And my favorite thing of all are these. Now these are masks that will help us color our projects tonight. So we're going to make our intention is to make 2 cards using this Frosted Forest bundle. So if you are stamping along with me, that is something you'll need, along with maybe some. Hello, Janelle. I've been there's been a lot going on. I'm glad you're watching though. I always feel like I'm at least a little bit connecting when I can watch people post, even if I can't see them in person for a little while. All right, so tonight I have some basic beige cardstock, and we are going to start with that. Okay, and this is an 8.5 by 11. I'm going to cut it in half at 5.5. And then we'll turn it sideways and score at 4.25. And I will be getting everything ready for class tomorrow, Janelle. So, but I'm not ready yet. I'll be very honest. It's gonna be a process. It is a wonderful set, isn't it? It's so cool. We're gonna be using it tomorrow. So, if you saw the cards that sorry, that was a little loud. If you saw the cards that I posted, I think it was last night, those are 2 of the ones we'll be making. And then we'll probably make the 2 that I make tonight, whatever they end up being. Let's hope they're wonderful. Okay, so here we have our card base, and that was 8.5 by 5.5, and we scored at 4.25 and folded. Okay, and then we are going to get a piece of, let's see, we're going to get a piece of Pebbled Path. And we are going to cut that 4 by 5.25. So if you make cards fairly often, this is a basic card pattern that you might use. It's going to go just like that. Okay, that's our next layer. And then we need a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. And I have my trusty little stash here of cards. I have two pieces of basic white that I use all the time, and I've shown this before. But I have one envelope that's full of 4 by 5 1/4, and one that's full of 3 1/4 by 5 and 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, because these are sizes that I use a lot. And if I'm trying to make cards a little more quickly, it helps me not to have to get up, go cut. It's just something I can do ahead of time that helps me out. Okay, so I'm going to have one 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside. And then for the front, I want a 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. So this one's for the inside. I can just tuck it in there for now. We might want to stamp on it, so I'm going to leave it like it is. All right, and here is our piece that's 3 3/4 by 5. So this is for the front. And what we're going to do is we are going to take, let's see, we're going to take this pine tree right here, and we are going to stamp that. So this one is kind of tall. I'm trying to see if it'll fit on there. I've misplaced some of my acrylic blocks. I don't know what happened to them. I probably packed them up to take them somewhere. I'm not sure, but I can't find them. All right, and over here in my little stack, I have some Pebbled Path, and we are going to use this first. Anytime I'm stamping, I find that I get the best image if I just gently lay my stamp on my ink pad. Stampin' Up! Ink pads are foam now. They used to be felt, and so you could really press on them. But now that they're foam, if you press on them, your image is going to be really I'm trying to think of the right word. It's going to be smudgy. Okay, so I like to take my stamp and at least practice stamp once just to make sure that my ink is turning out the way that I want it to. And that looks pretty good. All my little lines are covered. And all I'm doing, again, is I'm just laying this stamp on here. You can kind of see it turn color when the ink gets on there. Yeah, I really like the acrylic blocks. I like the different sizes. There are sizes I use a lot, like I would say this one, D, and then this one, H. Those I probably use the most for sentiments, for images, for all the things, but it's really nice, especially if you're using a set and you're going to be using it for a while, to put your stamps on and just leave them on there. Okay, so what we're going to do with these is I'm going to start at the bottom and stamp, and then I'm going to stamp off. So really what that means is I'm going to stamp up and off. So I'm going to stamp again right here. Okay, and then I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And I don't want it to be too close to this one. So I'm going to start down a little bit farther. And then I've got a little bit of a line in the middle, and I don't want that to get in my stamp. So I'm going to ink it up again. Where'd my little piece go? I'm going to stamp off on my scrap paper. And then I'm going to stamp up a little bit higher. And really what I'm doing is I'm getting more layers of images, but they're kind of staggered. So right now we're creating a little background for our image. Okay, and we don't want them all to line up. So I'm putting them all at different levels. That one's up higher, and then I'm going to stamp down a little bit. I hope you can see that. Janelle, can you see that okay, or should I move it closer to the center here? I was a little late setting up, so I didn't get all my, I didn't get quite as, I don't know, fancy as I usually do with my pre-work. All right, and this time I'm going to stamp off, and then trying to decide, should this one go up? Maybe so. And we're going to stamp like that. Okay, so now what we have is a little forest that's all stamped. I love this stamp set. It's so pretty. Okay, and that's gonna go like this. And then what I want to do is grab another piece of white. Oh, did I bump into that? Oh, I've got some over here. I've got some I forgot about. Okay, here's the little piece of white. And what we're going to do is we're going to stamp off. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your help. Sometimes I can't really tell because on my screen it's really small. Maybe I should make it bigger, and then I don't know how to do that, so I'm not going to mess with anything. But if you have any suggestions, you let me know. All right, and we're going to stamp on this piece of white. Okay, and so that's just like a light, I don't know, stamping. I can't think of a word. It's like a shadow stamp, really. All right, and then I'm going to put my petaled path to the side. I'm going to get my chamois and I'm going to clean off my stamp real quick. All right, and then I want to grab my shaded spruce ink, which is back behind me, of course. Okay, and we're going to stamp this on another piece of white. We actually probably don't need this big a piece because of what we're going to do, but we shall see. All right, I'm going to stamp off again just to make sure my stamp is getting enough ink. All right, and remember, when you're tapping on your ink pad, you're really just laying the stamp on there. And you'll see it change color most of the time. Now, with a really light color, you might not be able to tell. But with any dark color, you're going to see the stamp, especially photopolymer, change. But you really don't want to press it down in there because you will get the best images if it just lays on the top. Now, I know a couple of my stamp pads are older and they're uneven. So even when I lay them on the top, my image is not always what I want it to be. Those I probably need to replace because things like ink pads are consumable. And so you probably don't want to keep them for too long. All right, and I want to add a little bird on here. In the stamp set, there's a little bird. It is right here. And there is a die that cuts that out too. if you want to cut it out. But I just want to put it over here close to my tree. And I'm going to let my little bird be pebbled path. And I did realize earlier that my pebbled path is really new. And so that was one of the big things for me about just tapping my little bird on there gently, because the first time I pushed down a little bit and the bird was it was very thick. Not that birds can't be thick, but it was a very thick bird. Okay, so we're going to stamp that here by our tree. See how that looks. And then what we are going to do, I'm trying to figure out what I really want to do. That one's a little bit bigger. Okay. What I want to do is, this is a little die from the Nested Essentials. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to put it this way over my little tree. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do after that. So I'm going to use my die cutting machine and I'm going to cut that out. Okay, so now I do have this little leftover bit that maybe I can use for something, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to toss it over here in my scraps. But this is the part that I really want here. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is kind of like a spotlight card. If you've ever made a spotlight card, it's a little bit like that. Except the shapes they use are generally round, and this one is not round. Okay, and then what I want to do with this is there is a die that matches that right here. I'm not sure. I feel like we should cut that out. I'm not sure if this is the right move, but we're making it anyway. All right, so back I go to the die cutting machine. I don't have a camera over that yet, but I will try to get that. When I move it over here to the table, it shakes the whole table. And I don't want anyone to get sick, but I have done videos where I show you how to use that die cutting machine. And if you need me to do that again, just let me know in the comments and I can set that up ahead of time. going to save this little piece too for now. I like to save these because sometimes I need to line them up before I die cut them. And I just keep those in with my stamp set so that I always have it. All right, and this little tree can go over here on my magnet. And now we can start to put our card together. I know we're going to need a sentiment, but I haven't figured out how we're going to do that part yet. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side. Now we can start putting this. Oh, you know what? On the inside, we need to stamp something. Let's stamp our little bird one more time. And here's our pebbled path. And remember, we're just going to lay it on there really gentle. And then maybe we could put it up here in the corner. I think that's good. All right, I'll clean that off in a minute, but I'm going to close this right away. I do love stamp sets with cardinals, Janelle. They're probably one of my favorite little birds. I kind of wish this little bird was cardinal. He's not, but that's okay. He or she, I don't know. All right, so let's put this on the inside. We're going to turn it over and add our liquid glue or the glue of your choice. The way I like to use the liquid glue is I like to make a thin line around the edge and a squiggle down the middle. And I always try to leave this little bump for my fingers. I know that you can't see it right now, but when I go to do the pebbled path or the pebbled path, then you'll be able to see it a little better. Okay, so we're just going to glue our piece of white to the inside. Now, this is a light colored card, and you wouldn't have to put a piece of white on the inside, and you could have really stamped that bird right on the card. I like to add a piece of white just because it makes my card feel a little more sturdy, but it's definitely not a necessity. Okay, and now for the front, we're going to do the pebbled path. And let me zoom in so I can show you real quick what I mean about the glue. If I can figure out how to zoom in. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to show you how I like to put on the glue, because there are definitely different ways of doing it. So I like to do it's a really thin line around that goes all the way around the edge. I leave a little space for my finger in case I need to turn it over, and then my squiggle down the middle. And if you notice, when I'm putting that glue on, you don't really hear the bottle of glue scraping across the paper. You don't want to hear that, because the harder you press that tip of the glue into your paper, the more likely you are to get embossing lines. And if you put on your glue really thick, you'll get the lines too, because it will like water down the paper. Not as much with the colored cardstock. It's not as obvious with a dark color, but with a light color, it can be really obvious, especially with a thinner paper, with the designer series paper or the basic white paper. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with our little stamped background. If you hear me sniffle, I think my allergies are starting to give me some trouble. I haven't had any problems yet this year, and I guess I'm due for that, right? So I've had a little bit of sniffles today. Okay, so now we're going to put our tree. Are we going to put our tree right there? I feel like that's too much and it needs a little something. All right, we are going to do something a little different. I have here some basic beige ribbon. I just got this, the basic beige color. It's a fairly new color. I don't want to say it replaced Very Vanilla because I don't feel like it did, but it's definitely kind of in the same color family. All right, so I'm just going to trim a little piece of ribbon. All right, and I'm going to blow my nose real quick. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. It's just one of those times. Okay, and I'm going to stick this on with glue dots. I don't know about anyone else, but I find that glue dots are really the best way to stick on ribbon. So I've tried Stamp and Seal and that two-way tear and tape, all kinds of different methods, and I feel like the mini glue dots are really the best. They work the best. Oh yeah, see, I feel like that sets it up a little better. Okay, we're going to add some dimensionals, and I have a whole little stack right here. I'm trying to use up all my little edge pieces. I hate for anything to go to waste, you know? Okay, there is that. All right, and I'm just gonna set this little tree. Oh, well, not on my table. It was not what was intended. Right here, maybe just a tiny bit to the left. And stick it there. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to put it over top so that it kind of lines up where with where it would naturally be. Okay, so we're going to need mini glue dot, or not mini glue dot, maybe a mini glue dot down here and a dimensional up here at the top corner. Okay, so we're going to put one right here, and then a mini glue dot down here. Whoops, I kind of missed that. There we go. I do have a little pile of trash right here on my table right now. I'm working on getting everything cleaned up, but I haven't got there yet. Okay, so we're just going to line that up so that it matches, and then stick it down. And see how that is that's kind of the spotlight to it? I just feel like that looks really cool. Okay, and then we need a little sentiment. So let me find where I put my stamping mat. Thank you, Janelle. I'm glad you like it. All right, and this one, I think we're going to make it a birthday card. So we'll do birthday wishes for a day as great as you are. I think that's a really great stamp set. Here, I can zoom back out too so that I'm not quite so close. All right, there we go. Let's see. It's always kind of a trick to find them when they're on there backwards, I feel like. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who struggles with that, but when the words are backwards, sometimes I feel like I cannot read them. All right, and I put it kind of crooked on there because I feel like that'll work best for me. Sometimes I line them up straight using my grid paper, sometimes they're crooked. Okay, and let's see. I can't decide where it should go. Well, I'll probably put gems at the top. So let's say right down here. All right, so then we need a little piece of white. And let's make our sentiment shaded spruce so that it kind of draws your eye to the spotlighted part of the card. And remember, we're just going to lay it on there. Then we can practice stamp. That one didn't look quite as nice as the other one. So I'm going to try it a couple times. This stamp set is a new one that I just got. And I found that sometimes when they're brand new, you need to stamp with them a couple times before you get a really nice image. And if that doesn't work, sometimes there are other tricks that you need to use. All right, so it still looks a little bit off to me. I'm going to stamp again. Now let's try this time. And what I'm looking for when I look at the stamp, let's see, I don't know, you can't really see that, can you? Is for it to be really clear, for the whole thing to be covered with an even layer of ink. So in person you can see it a lot better, but that's what you're looking for, is a nice even layer of ink. And I'm going to stamp it kind of in the corner because I will trim this down so that it fits right. Okay, there's our sentiment. And we're just going to trim it down so it'll fit right down here in the corner. Let's see. All right, I think it's going to be, it looks like it needs to be 1 7/8, which I know is a crazy size, but it all depends on where you stamped it on your paper. I like to try and get it to the center as much as I can, and that looks pretty centered to me. Now let's see about the other side. Let's go with 1 inch. Okay, and I think that turned out pretty good. And we're just going to stick it right down here. I feel like maybe it needs a little border. So it's 1 inch by 1 7/8. And I have some colored path over here. So I'm going to do 1 1/8 by 2. And that should give us just a tiny border around the edge if I added that right. Yep. And I think that'll kind of help it stand out a little. I almost wish I had done that with this spotlight part, but there isn't one that cuts. There are different sizes, but there's not one that cuts just an eighth of an inch bigger. I think it's probably a quarter of an inch bigger, which isn't terrible. That would not be terrible. I just like them to be about the same. So again, I'm using my liquid glue and I'm just doing a little squiggle around the edge and a tiny squiggle in the middle because we really don't have much space with this. And then I'll line it up in the center. And what I really like about this liquid glue is if it's not exactly in the center, you have a couple of seconds to kind of scoot it around in there. Okay, so there is that. And then we are going to put that on some dimensionals too. So we'll just put one here in the bottom corner. Well, it's almost off the edge. I almost got it off the edge. Okay, and then we'll put a little glue dot up here just to hold it down. Okay, so we're going to put it just right here, down in the corner, just like that. And I think that's really pretty. All we need to do is add some little sparkles to it. I'm not sure yet what sparkles we want to put on there, but I think it's going to turn out really nice. If I were to do it again, I can tell you that I probably would wrap this ribbon around and tie a little knot because it doesn't show up very well. Or maybe use the Pebbled Path ribbon. We'll see. We'll see what happens by tomorrow. So there is our first card. And let's make another one. Let's make 2 tonight. And then I'll show you the ones that I made before in case you didn't have a chance to see them. Okay, I'm just going to clean these stamps off and put them back. And we'll make one more card. There is a thinking of you and how you strengthen my life stamp. I think that would be a nice one. Or even there's also a thank you, or we could even make 2 birthday cards. It doesn't hurt to have more than one birthday card. Okay, but I did want to show you how to use these mats. So since I have done one with this tree, we'll keep to the same tree for tonight. This is really cool. This is so cool. All right. So what we are going to do is put this away. No, wait. We need this one. Okay, we need that one. We're going to put the words back. And maybe we'll need the little bird again. So we're just going to leave our little feathered friend out. He's just going to hang out with us. All right. So let's see. having a hard time with my decisions. So let's do shaded spruce, and we'll do the basic beige again. I really like the basic beige. It looks good with shaded spruce. So we're gonna just stick with that. And hopefully I'm not gonna sneeze. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. All right, we have, let's see. We still have one of these cards. And let's score it again at 4 1/4. But this time we will turn it sideways and we'll make a card that opens to the top instead of to the side. So it'll go this way instead of this way. It's the same size. You can do all seasons with this. You could do spring, summer, fall, winter, every single season. I really honestly feel like I'm kind of stuck in fall right now. Maybe I should use a different color green. Actually, I'm going to switch. Now that you said that, I'm going to switch a little bit. So I'm going to use Mossy Meadow instead of, am I? Maybe I'm going to use Copper Clay. I feel like that would be pretty. But does it go with pine trees? I don't know. All right, we're going to see. I feel like it will. I feel like we're getting a thing. We're going for it. Okay. So here is our big tree. And then I'm going to get the little tree stamp out too, because we're going to kind of do both. I really want to show you the masking part. I'm sure, Janelle, you probably already tried the masking, haven't you? It's really cool. So we are going to, I can't remember what I just said we're going to do. Copper Clay. Okay, here we go. We've got our Copper Clay. And all right, so we're going to cut the Copper Clay. How are we going to do it? We're going to cut it. All right, we're going to do 8s. Okay, so we're going to do 4 1/8. Because this is going to make our border really thin. So by 5 3/8. Okay. Now, if you are signed up for my email, I will be sending these directions out. However, if you've been signed up for a while, you know that I am a little behind. So I have been working on emailing out the directions for last month's in-person class, which was really cool. I have all the measurements. I still have one picture I have to take. And then I think I'm close to ready to email that out. And then I just have to write the email. Now, I know that it probably doesn't sound like a whole lot of work, but things like this really take me an extremely long time. I can't tell you why. I don't know why it's so hard for me, but it is. I'm working on it, and I promise that I will be getting it to you soon. All right, and then we have, I used one of my handy stash of 4x5 1/4. Okay, so now on this little 4x5 1/4, we're going to stamp a couple trees. And I think what we'll do is, I think we're going to stamp them in, Memento Black. I thought about stamping them in copper clay, but since I haven't tried that yet, I am going to do it the other way. All right, so we're gonna, now this Memento ink pad, when you're stamping with that, it is a felt pad. Okay, so it's a little different than the foam pads. You can still use the same basic process and lay it on there. But once that ink starts to run out a little bit, you're either going to need to re-ink it or press a little harder to get that ink. Now, I store all my stamp sets so that the ink pad, the felt pad, is on the top. Stampin' Up! Ink pads, most of them are made that way. So when you store them, the ink pad's on the top, so the ink follows gravity. Okay, so it's gonna lay at the top of the ink pad, where if it sits like this, it's gonna sink down to the bottom, and it's gonna be farther away. So when you store this Memento ink pad, you're gonna wanna turn it upside down. Okay, now back to our little process here. So I'm gonna stamp one of my tall trees here. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of keep them separate because when I do ink them up, I want the ink to when I use the mask, I want the ink to be in the right place. Okay. But really what we're doing right now is we're creating our little forest scene. Ooh, oh boy. I had an extra cup of coffee when I came down, so my fingers are probably a little jittery now. Okay, so here is our basic scene, right? All right, I'm gonna zoom in for the next part so you can see better what I'm doing. All right, now I'm gonna put the lid back on this, and then remember, we're gonna turn it upside down, okay? It's not, if you pick it up, the lid is not gonna fall off. It's, somehow it just suctions on there, okay? So now, I'm gonna push this back up towards the middle, and I need to see if I have a shaded spruce ink sponge dauber. I'm just gonna check real quick. This is my little bag of sponge daubers. Evening. I don't, but I do have one that's Evening Evergreen, which is not the color we have anymore. So I'm gonna use that for now. I try to keep the same color families in there, but it's not always exactly the same. Okay, now with the masks, on each one are either letters or numbers. So if you look up there in the corner, see where it says A, B, C, you're going to use A first and then B and then C. Okay? So A is the first one. So we're just going to place it on top of our first little tree. Big tree. That's actually the big tree. And then I really like using the Stamparatus for this because I can just put that magnet down. I can put one here on the other side. And I don't have to worry about my mask or my paper moving underneath. Okay, and then we're going to open our Shaded Spruce ink. Ever since they changed them, I struggle a little bit to open them. So if you struggle a little bit too, don't feel like you're alone in that. Now, let's see, I was going to zoom you in a little bit. Okay, I'm trying to get where you can really see. I wonder if I can move my head somewhere else. How's that? Is that a little better? If I'm down in the bottom corner instead of at the top. I do think that's better. Oh, I'm zooming in on my face. I'm zooming in on the wrong thing. There we go. All right, I don't know what is going on, but I can't zoom in anymore. One of these days, my friends, I will have it figured out, but that day is not today. All right, so we have this little sponge dauber. These sponge daubers come in a set of 5 like this, and I like to have a bunch of them. I like to have one for each color and put a little tag on it. Those are just little labels that I think they're maybe Avery labels. I just printed them out. Actually, somebody else printed them out and gave them to me. So I don't even have the file for that, but I wish I did. So I might make one, but I hate to promise you that and then not get to it, especially since I'm obviously struggling with my time a little bit. All right, so we're going to tap our sponge dauber in there. And I like to take a little acrylic block and just tap on it first because see how much ink that is at first? I'm just going to set that right here by my thing. And then we're going to just tap all over our mask, right where we want our colors to be. And then you can tap back in that little spot that you put on your acrylic block if you do that, and add a little more at a time. This is the way I like to do it. I know that other people tap right in the ink and go straight to their paper. I like to have a little bit more control over my color sometimes. Okay, and now, and when it runs out, you can even take this little sponge dauber and you can huff on it the same way you would huff on a stamp, and it kind of reactivates the ink a little bit. So you can get a little more use out of that same spongy spot of ink. Now, all of the classic inks are water-based, so you can water paint with these, which is why I think it does work when you use just a little dampness from your breath to activate them. Okay, now we can put this up. Now, if you are using your Stamparatus or any other kind of stamping platform, you're going to want to be careful with your magnets. I've broken 2 sets of magnets. They're really strong. They will snap together. I put a little washi tape around mine so that, first of all, so that I can grab them because they can be really hard to pull off of your set, but also so that hopefully if they snap together, they'll hit that washi tape instead of each other. I don't know if that's going to work like that, but that's the thought process in my head behind it. All right, so now we're going to move our little trees to the next spot. I feel like I'm talking probably too much tonight, and so that's why maybe our cars aren't going quite as quickly as they otherwise would. All right, and then we're just going to put our magnets back on. We're not going to put them close together, right? We're going to put them on opposite sides so that hopefully they don't snap and smash. Okay, I'm tapping on my here. I want you to see how that's really filling up with ink. This color is really it's a really dark color. It's bold. This shade of spruce is bold. And I haven't used this ink a lot. So you'll find that if you get a new ink, if you haven't used it a lot, it's probably really inky. In fact, I had one come the other day in plastic that was totally covered. Inside the plastic, there was ink everywhere. Okay, there are our first 2 trees, and then we have 2 more that are on this same mask. So we're going to do our little trees next. So I'm just going to line that up. And they don't have to be perfect. You're just trying to line them up kind of close. They do put those little notches at the top so that you could line them up more exact than what I'm doing. But I don't feel like I need to do that. Okay, and I kind of want this one to be a little bit lighter. So I'm just going to kind of smudge out that ink a little. You can make them as light or as dark as you want them to be. Especially by using that acrylic black, you can really get a lighter color. See how you can blend it off to the side there? You just have a little more control over your color that way. I'm kind of fussy. I'm kind of fussy about things, and so I tend to do fussy cards sometimes. All right, there is that one. We have one more little one to get in our... It already looks cool. Look at that. It does look cool already. Okay. We're going to put this one here. Line it up. Oh, I just busted it. Not busted, but I moved it after I just got it lined up perfect. Or close enough to perfect. All right, so we're going to put those down. Sorry guys, I'm definitely going to have to take some allergy medicine before tomorrow. All right, we got one more to do here. We'll do another kind of light one. Now, these would be really cool too if the if one of the layers you did with you know, that paste, the embossing paste, that would be really cool. I might try that sometime. But this does take a little bit longer. Janelle, if you're still on here and you have a set of these masks, you might want to bring it with you tomorrow. I think there's only 2 people coming to in-person class. The other person was going to come a different day, and it just hadn't worked out because I had a lot going on. But she might be there tomorrow too. Just in case, if you don't want to bring your own, you can definitely use mine. I was just thinking time-wise, you might want to. Okay, now these you can just wipe off with your Stampin' Chamois, and they'll clean right off. Or you can rinse them in the sink and then let them dry. Either way, they'll come pretty clean. All right, so now we're on B. Okay, we're gonna line this one up. And again, we'll do the big ones first. Let's see, how does it go, right? There, I think. I guess I should have put the other one over top so I would know. That looks about right to me. Okay. There we go, and back we go. Now, you could use a different color grain too when you start doing this. You wouldn't have to use all the same color. You could definitely use a different color. So we're just tapping it all on there. And if that's not enough color for you, you could use, you can move them around, add more color. You can use blending brushes on these too. So you can do it either way. And I treat the blending brushes kind of the same. I usually swirl them on an acrylic block before I put them on my paper. All right, let's see how that looks. And see how the layers of color are really just building on there. It's so cool. These are so cool. All right. Like it goes right there. I feel like that's what I did the last time, but I'm not sure. All right, here we go. Now these do take a little more time than the last card we did. That kind of takes a little more time because we're tapping all that ink on. But you can go faster if you want to, or you can take your time. All right, now we're going to do the little trees. So I feel like this one's a little trickier to line up, maybe. There we go. I think it's because it's the small one, and I stamped it off, so it's not lining up exactly where where it would if we saw the whole thing. So we'll probably see better on the other spot that I stamped. I do think these masks are just really cool. All right, one more on the tree. Well, that one, see how dark that one turned out? That was kind of cool. All right, line this one up. Okay, and this one we can see the bottom, so. Like maybe right there. And the other thing I really love about this is if I'm getting it wrong, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna know that. Well, except for you. If you're watching me and I'm messing it up and you know I'm messing it up, then I guess you will know. But the people who got this card, they're never going to know. They're not even going to know how I did this unless they're watching the video. I feel like some of these little spots, you could even, if you were making a little Christmas tree, you could make them red and they could be like little red lights or little red berries. They would be so cute. All right, so there is, okay, that's the second mask. Now we do have one more. There's 3. So there's 3 for each kind of tree. There's 2 different trees in the set. All right, we're going to do the last one, and then we're going to figure out how our card is going to go together. Okay, so we're going to line it up where we think it's going to be. Again, it does not have to be perfect. This does not have to be perfect. It's going to be what we want it to be, right? Okay, so here we go. Oh, it looks like I colored my finger too a little bit in the process. I do love to color, but I think this gives you a great alternative to coloring. If you just want, if you want to do something different, if you want to just try something really cool, these trees look really neat. Any way that you color them. And I'm not 100% sure I'm lining them up right. I am trying. They look about right. And I meant to watch a whole bunch of videos before I started this, but I was struggling this afternoon to get some things done. And spend a little time with my kids, let's be honest. When they go back to school tomorrow, I know that the next couple weeks, especially as they adjust and as I adjust, are probably going to be hard. And what were fairly good moods today might not be in the coming days. Or they'll just be a little difficult, maybe. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't plan for that. But it does feel like that's the way it'll be. All right, so then I'm not even sure where to line up this little tree. Maybe right about there. I'm just going to pick a spot and I'm going to go with it. Because I'm not sure. I feel like it's got to be up a little higher than that. Maybe about like there. Alright. Now, if I had my big grid paper out, I could have lined them all up and marked where that notch was. But then I would have had to tape this down as well and not use my magnet. So I feel like for what we're doing tonight, we're kind of making a perfect, what we're doing is perfect. Let's see. I feel like maybe right about there. And you guys, I'm just guessing. So if you have a better guess than what I do, then that is fine too. All right. So there we go. We've got our shaded spruce. I'm going to take those up later and wash them. Here are our trees. Now, they're not perfect, but they look pretty cool. I might have gone a little heavy on this one, but I could always add a little bit more. And I can take my sponge dauber and kind of smooth it out a little if I just use the side. We can add a little more ink to the center. Okay, and so there are our trees. They're turning out really cool. We're going to put them on top of here. Let's get a little piece of ribbon. And this time we'll use a little bit of copper clay. Oh, and I got some green on my finger. I'm going to have to watch that. I don't want to get green anywhere else. All right, and then we need our little little sentiment. Okay, let's, I don't know if I can zoom back out. I'll see. I feel like I should be able to, however, there we go. Okay. I'm still learning all my technology stuff. I'm going to get there. One of these days, I'm going to be on top of it, but I guess I'm not there yet. I am learning, though. I've been learning a lot. Okay, so this time we're going to use Thinking of You and How You Strengthen My Life. Okay, and I'm going to use copper clay to stamp my sentiment. Copper clay. And I might even put it in a little background around it. Let's see. And that one is just barely going to fit. I might need one a little bit longer, just in case. In case I have a problem. Okay. And that one works really nice. There we go. Let's see. All right, maybe we'll do it that way. Okay, so now we're going to trim this down. Let's do 2.5, going to give us enough space. So. All right, and then we'll trim it this way. Maybe at 3/4. Okay, so we're 2.5 by 3/4. So we need a little piece of copper clay. That is 2 3/4 by 1. I think this might be 1. Oh, it's really close. All right, we're going to see if we can trim off that tiny smidge, which did come off, but it got stuck in our trimmer. Can't have that. Okay, let's put these together. And that time I only needed just a tiny bit around the edges because this is so small. Okay, and then on the back side, we're just going to take our ribbon and we're going to make it go up and down like that. Okay, so we're just going to use some glue dots to do that. Oh, well, that did not work. Sometimes things do not go the way you plan. I don't know if that ever happens to anyone else, but I have had lots of things in my life not go the way I planned. And all we can do is keep on keeping on, right? I mean, you can sit and cry about it for a while. Don't think I don't. Every once in a while. But it really, generally, doesn't do you any good. All right, so there is our little piece of ribbon. I feel like I can move it over just a bit. Maybe. If I'm careful and I don't go too crazy. All right. And then, okay, so there's our sentiment. And we're going to put our card together. I still have to grab a piece for the inside, though. So we're going to turn that over. Put our thin line of blue around the edge. And squiggle down the middle. We're going to glue these layers down. Thin line around the edge. And squiggle in the middle. We're going to line that up and put it down. Okay. And then for this, we can do 2 dimensionals on the back. And that's actually the end of my sheet. Kind of like it better with my face down in the corner. I don't feel like I use this little part right here as much, but I do use that top part. Oh, that's way too big. I made that way too big. So I have a little piece of sticky back for glue dots over here. I'm going to try and take this apart. Just because I did not measure that out well. And it's way too big. Alright, let's stick that on there. I'm going to try and stick it right here. Alright, so remember how I was saying things don't always go the way you plan? Well, here they go. Here they go, friends. This card is misbehaving, and if I were here working by myself, you can bet it would find itself in the punishment box. But since you are here with me, and I don't want to embarrass this little card in front of you, I'm just going to repair it, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to put it in the punishment box. So thanks to you, my neighbor, you have saved the life of this card. Okay. There we go. That's much better. All right. So here is our second card. I still need to put a piece on the inside. But what do you think about that one? Maybe it needs a little more, something right here to kind of ground that, that little tree there a bit, but I'm not sure. All right, so let's put a piece of white on the inside. We have some right over here that are 4 by 5 1/4 in our special stash. And we'll just pop one on the inside. That gives our card a little more stability. Sometimes I stamp on them, sometimes I don't. We could stamp a little tree on there maybe, but I'm thinking I am going to leave this one blank. Okay, so here is our finished card for tonight. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this and hopefully found some inspiration to make some cards tonight, or I will see you at card class in person tomorrow night if you're coming. The next time I'll be live for the free class would be the first week in September. So I'm not sure if that's Labor Day, but I don't plan on going anywhere, so I should be here with you. And if you are going somewhere fun, let me know where you're going, and hopefully you can watch the replay. So here is the first card that we made tonight using the Frosted Forest bundle. Here is the second card. So if you're coming to in-person class, you'll be making those two tomorrow. I'll be doing my best to prepare ahead of time between tonight and tomorrow, but I do work tomorrow, so it's only because I'm a little behind this month. And then the other two cards we're going to be making are this one and this one. Well, I think they're all really beautiful. We'll be adding some gems to them. This one, if you look close, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is Wink of Stella on the tree, and it has just a little bit of shimmer to it. It's so pretty. So as you can tell, I'm kind of in a fall mood, so there'll be fall cards, and I'll be working on what we're going to do for the next class and sending out the directions for these. So there's lots going on. If you have any questions in the meantime, or if you just want to get in touch with me, let me know. I'll be sending out the birthday cards soon. They're not birthday cards. They're cards I'm sending you for my birthday. So you won't be getting a birthday card per se. You might get a birthday card. But chances are you'll be getting some other kind of card in the mail along with an envelope, so you can send it to whoever, whatever lucky friend you choose. I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's always so good to stamp and to be with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it too. And I will see you next time. Until then, happy stamping, neighbor.